An update to my C10. I need to wipe things down in here. Okay, so I didn't know if I was having a carburetor issue or an ignition issue or what kind of issues, but in the middle of all the issues, I created my own. So long story short, when I first started on the carburetor, I had a split fuel line and ultimately ended up with a little bit of a fire. You can't even really tell in here because, I mean, I've left it all original, at least the cab and stuff, but it needs a little bit of a bath. But so I had put a new rebuild kit on my ignition from Summit. It was the red cap and rotor and all the cool stuff, and I proceeded to melt all of that. So then I bought an whole distributor, a new distributor XL, and slapped that thing in. Got the timing set at 16 degrees. And first I was chasing this bog. Well, the bog went away. When I say bog, I'd be running 2,000 RPMs, 2,200, 2,500 RPMs, and try to speed up not to kick in the secondary, just speed up, and it would blubber or misfire. It really never popped, so I never really felt like it was lean. That's why I kept going back to ignition like it was my coil or whatever. But anyway, there's a whole other story about that. So got on and went down the rabbit hole. I've got an Edelbrock 1405 carburetor on here. So they talked about boiling fuel. So I set up this return line. I ran it back to the tank, and then we started talking about fuel pressure. I bought a fuel pressure gauge. It's in the shop. I set it up, and with the return line system at idle, I was getting like 2 pounds. It was bouncing around. So I used a hose clamp with a screw on it and kept messing with it till I got about 3 pounds at idle, and it gets up to 5.5 when I'm running. Okay, that seemed to help. Then after all of this, and in the middle of the process of setting up the fuel pressure gauge, I actually bought a Holley regulator, which I haven't eliminated that yet. I had removed this filter and put on a filter that really didn't have a filter in it. So I got rid of that bog. I don't think it was fuel pressure. I think it was just the 17 times I had the carburetor open and cleaned out. I finally got all of those areas cleaned up. So I developed this weird, literally right off of idle. And when I say right off, I mean moving the accelerator barely. It would blubber and gurgle. And then I noticed that my fuel mixture screws, my passenger side, did what it's supposed to do. You turned it in, the motor would start get sluggish, you'd back it out, it would get back to RPM, and I would set it to vacuum. But the driver's side wouldn't do it. And so I got online and started digging through a whole bunch of stuff, and they said make sure that port's clean. I made sure the port's clean. And then I found this obscure website, kind of like mine, where you got 200 subscribers or whatever, and this guy says, hey, take this horn off and blow through the idle transition circuit, which I did. Fixed it. This thing runs like a champ. So I actually had gapped all the plugs to 45. They were gapped at 35. I've got a new ignition system on it. I played with the carburetor, had a fire. I did plugs and wires. I've done a lot of things, but it was a carburetor, and I'm still getting a little bit of junk. So even though my aftermarket tank is in there, I think that I think there might be a little bit of dirt in the bottom of the tank, and we may proceed to clean that out or even drop it again. But we're going to drive this thing, see what happens. I love driving this little truck. This thing's got power steering, and it drives down the road good, and doesn't overheat. Runs about 170, 180 when it gets real warm. It is an AC truck. I don't have the compressor yet, so I'm going to get a compressor. That's my next project. Once I get all this stuff dialed in, probably end up changing the air filter. I don't care much for that. Wipe this thing down a little bit. I did do a new proportioner valve, but I think my right caliper is still sticking a little bit. I replaced the left one and didn't replace the right one. Brakes work good, but yep, she's a ripper now.